All right. So we're looking at Matot Gimel, right? So we bring a midrash that says Nekom Nikmat Bnei Israel, right? Take vengeance for Bnei Israel from the Midyanim, right? The midrash explains we learn how many tekiyot to do on Shabbat, Erev Shabbat, from Milchemet Midyan. Okay, and the midrash goes on to explain that when the first sound goes off, people come in. The second sound goes off. The hatzos zerot. The second sound goes off. To take get the hamin ready or take it off. The third one, you take the pot off the fire because that's what Shabbat's starting, and that's how we know. The question of Zera Shimshon is this midrash is explaining that we learn the tekiyot of Erev Shabbat from Milchemet Midyan. What does one have anything to do with the other? You want to say you learned there's nothing to do with Erev Shabbat with the war of Midyan. You don't see that here. Why is the Midrash bringing one with the other? How we explain, we bring the Siftei Kohen. The Siftei Kohen says that Milchemet Midyan, right? We didn't need any type of weapons. Right? The pasuk says that Hashem says, bring 1,000 guys, tzaddikim from each tribe, and bring the hatzot zerot. That's all he says. Right? And all it says, go to Midian, and to make them afraid. It doesn't say anything about going to war. Right? And to show leharot shebaim derech hateva, to show that we're going derech hateva, the natural way. But the milchama was really fought by Hashem. That's the Siftei Kohen, and that's important. You have to remember that Siftei Kohen says that this was a war of a miracle, and we were only meant to be seen as we're going to war and make them afraid, but we had no intention of fighting. Hashem took care of the war. That's what the Siftei Kohen says. Right, and the Siftei Kohen brings the midrash to prove it, that all the words that talks about the war, it doesn't say anything about going after. It just says, agitate them or aggravate them or go next to them or look like it doesn't say anything to imply that you should go after them. It just says go like up to their face. It doesn't say don't throw the first punch, right? And he brings it because the midrash also says that Bilam died hargu behareb, right? To show that he died by the sword, and lefi sheneged ze levado heru geburat milchama. That by this alone it shows you the strength of the milchama. However, with everybody else, we didn't need any type of warfare. Right, and so because Bilam is singled out by saying that he got killed by the sword, that's showing that the milchama was amazing. And he also says Ayin Sham, so there's more information about this. But the bottom line in the midrash, what we see is the Siftei Kohen is saying that we didn't need any weapons, and Hashem fought the war, and it was a miracle. That's what we say. And then the Zera Shimshon says, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us the commandment of the war of Midian, he just says saror. He doesn't give us a commandment. He should have said sword, go and antagonize. It doesn't say go and antagonize, it says antagonize, which means what? Which means whenever you want, whenever you get a chance. Like by the way, when we first got married, Stephanie told me, when you get a chance, throw the garbage out. 10 seconds later, I hear grab the garbage and slam the door behind her. Like, what happened? Why? Just when you get a chance. Now I know what that means when you get a chance. I promise. All right, so the question is, what does it say saror? It should, right? It's the basic term of the word. It should have said sor, an adverb, to go do something, like it said sov, dom, right? Which is lashon tzivui, a commandment. And we say what? So you could say that the reason why it says saror, because you might think that you could do, no, not that you might, that you can wage war, this war of Midian, any day you want, even on Shabbat. No, what's the word? No, not contingencies, no exclusions. You want to do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But that's hard to understand, because if you tell me I could do a war on Shabbat, that's hard, because we know what it says in Shulchan Aruch and in Rambam, that a war that you don't make a siege around what's it called, the goyim. You don't make a siege or wage war against the goyim 3 days before Shabbat. So it means Thursday. It means Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It means you can only wage war Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, right? You can't do 3 days before. That's close to Shabbat. And it also says in Masechet Shabbat, and we say what? That's regarding Milchemet Reshut. But a Milchemet Mitzvah is mutad to do it even on Shabbat. Even on Shabbat, you're allowed to wage war even on Shabbat. You're allowed to wage war when it's a milchemet mitzvah. When it's a milchemet reshut, right? You don't have. You're not allowed to do it. You're not allowed to do it
Unless you were attacked first.
unless you're attacked. But that's the question. The question is, if I know there's tensions rising, let me wage war first. Why can't I wage war first? Why do I have to wait? Because if they come first to me, then I'm gonna end. Then we're all gonna be fighting on Shabbat. And it's also because of sakanat nefashot, and that's mutad, right? So why would we wait? So you have to, right. So I feel mehamay reshut yechulin latzeit afilu b'Shabbat mishum sakanat nefashot. And if we started first, right? And if we started first, why would we wait until after Shabbat? Why should we wait? Why should we wait till after Shabbat? And what do we say? We say because a milchemet mitzvah is different, because we have a mitzvah she'en lanu leachmitz et mitzvah afilu rega ahad. Well, when you have a mitzvah in your hand, you can't wait. You got to do it right away, even if it's on Shabbat. And I bring it. I think it's in Beshalach that I think it's in Beshalach that she says that when it comes to Harigat Oidei Hashem, killing God's enemies, it's equivalent to all the mitzvot in the Torah. It's right. We said that the mitzvah Harigat Oidei Hashem he shekula lechol mitzvot. So we show the difference. But then we say if that's true, then why do you use the word saror? In order to allow us to do it on Shabbat. If it's a milchemet mitzvah, it's already known that I'm allowed to do it on Shabbat. What is it telling me? Right? That was the whole thing. If you want to say it's milchemet mitzvah, then beauty, I'm allowed to do it on Shabbat. So then if that's true, why do you have to give me this Derash of saror to teach me that I'm allowed to do it on Shabbat? I already know milchemet midyan is milchemet mitzvah. So I don't need a pasuk to tell me that I can do it on Shabbat. I have Shulchan Aruch. Right? That's what we say. And then what do we answer? We answer that this would be different. We might think it's different. Why? Because we know it's coming right after Milchemet Midyan. We know it's coming the death of Moshe. The death of Moshe Rabbeinu. And we might assume that because this mitzvah is going to lead to Hefsed, to losing one of God's loved ones, you might assume that we're not supposed to do it, we're not supposed to rush. So therefore the Pasuk comes to tell you, Sarod, to not give you any timeline, do whatever you want, even on Shabbat, even if Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die. That was the first way we looked at it, right? Then Zera Shimshon flips it completely. And he says what? We're going to say that because we know that Moshe Rabbeinu is going to die right after, it is not considered milchemet mitzvah. And therefore, we have to say like the Siftei Kohen that it was a nes, and we're going to say like it was a nes. And why was it allowed to do it on Shabbat? Because this war was different from all the other wars. Because this is the only war that we were not required to bring any type of weapons. Remember, we first wanted to say that it's milchemet mitzvah. So because if it's a milchemet mitzvah, we're allowed to do it on Shabbat. But then why do you need a Derash to teach me I'm allowed to do it on Shabbat? I know if it's a milchemet mitzvah, it's mutar on Shabbat. So to teach you, because you know that after milchemet midyan comes the death of Moshe, so you might think that this would be different. So the pasuk comes to teach you, no, it's not true, even on Shabbat, mutar. So that's one way. Now we're going to bring a different way. We're going to say, we flip it and say that the pasuk is hard to understand even by itself. Because if it's contingent on Moshe's dying, you might think it's not considered a milchemet mitzvah. And if that's true, why would it be mutar on Shabbat? Ela, you have to say like the Siftei Kohen that we said before, that this war was different. Why? It was different from all the other wars, because this war, we didn't have to bring any type of weapons, but every other war, we did bring weapons. And the reason, and then we bring the reason, why can't you go to war 3 days before Shabbat? And we said it's gorgeous, but this was gorgeous. What the Beit Yosef brings, he brings the Rif, the Rambam, and the Rosh, which are the three pillars of halakha. The Rif, the Rosh, and the Rambam. All the halachot, the Shulchan Aruch, are based on those three. Which is Majnun, it's crazy. So he brings these, and what is it? What is the reason why you can't go to war 3 days before? Because of Oneg Shabbat. Because you're not going to have Oneg Shabbat. In the first 3 days of war, everyone's afraid. They don't know what's going on. They don't know what's coming. So they're eating, they're drinking, they're not enjoying anything that they're doing. So they don't get anything. But after day 3 of the war, you're a little more calmer and you can enjoy your food. So that's the reason why the Rif, the Rosh, and the Rambam explicitly say that you're allowed to wage war before 3 days. So if you wage war on Sunday, so now you're afraid. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Now comes Wednesday, Thursday, Friday night. Okay, you're a little more calm. Yeah, you're in war, but I guarantee you, the first 3 days of the war in Ukraine is a different feeling. That is now. They're in a year in. The first 3 days is all unknown. They don't know what's going on. It's petrifying, right? And then so that's we give the reason why 3 days before is different, right? And then we say that if here comes the punchline. The whole thing we said. What's the purpose of bringing the? How do you learn Shabbat from Milchemet Midyan with the Hatzot Zerot? How do you learn? The Midrash said. How do we know to blow the shofarot 3 times, the Hatzot Zerot 3 times for Shabbat from Milchemet Midyan? How? Doesn't make any sense. So we bring it now. We say it's hard to understand why didn't we bring, if we didn't bring any Kilei Zayin, weaponry, why would we need to bring the Hatzot Zerot? We explain the reason of the Hatzot Zerot is to what? Is because is to stir up the fear. The fear is already there. Arouse the people to pray to Hakadosh Baruch Hu because of the fear that they already have. Right? Hashem wants the heart. So if your heart's already crazy from the war, send it up to God. It's already there. Inspiration is great, but if you don't use it with the Torah, it ends up fizzling out. It's an amazing thing. You need the Torah to direct it. So we're done. So the fact that you have it so now, what's the purpose if there's no war, if there's no pahad, if there's no weapons, what do I need the Hatzot Zerot? And we answer because it must be the Hatzot Zerot we needed for Shabbat, to bring in the Shabbat. To remind the people to stop doing any melacha that's not related to the war, preparations for the war. Right? We say the Hatzorah, and that's how we're able to learn that it's Davka. We learn it from Milchemet Midyan, specifically for Shabbat, because there was no warfare. There was no fear. We weren't going, we didn't know, we just told to go, we're going to go antagonize them. We weren't going to go to war with them. Right? So what's the purpose of the Hatzot Zerot? And by the way, the Midrash proves it, because otherwise, how do you understand the Midrash? It makes no sense. How do you learn the Hatzot Zerot of Shabbat from a war, from Milchemet Midyan? So it's obviously speaking because the purpose of the Hatzot Zerot we meant to arouse to send the people to look up to Avidah B'Sheva Shamayim, to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there was no need to do that here because there was no fear. So therefore, it must have been that it was for Shabbat to let the people know that we're going to that Shabbat's coming in. Baruch Adonai Olam, Amen, Amen.